Welcome to Dr. Charles Speaks, a podcast for now. You've joined us for a special series of transformational talks, selected exclusively from Dr. Charles's corporate success calls. The 15-minute calls are designed to encourage leaders, activate your thought life, and prepare you for the challenges ahead. Dr. Charles joins every call with a blend of his personal experiences, his expertise as a John Maxwell certified mentor and coach, and of course, his more than 30 years of exceptional experience in both corporate America and ministry. Get motivated with Dr. Charles Speaks, a transformational talk from the Red Line on today's podcast, inspiring excellence and generating results.
Good day, my friends, and thank you once again for joining me on the Red Line. This episode today, it's designed to start your week off on a great and positive note. You know the rest of the story. It's also to inspire you and to continue to challenge you, as we all want to be challenged to continue to grow along our personal leadership journey. And so today, I want to continue on speaking on positive leadership and certainly talking about a subject matter that I think we all can relate to. As I've said on previous podcasts, that I have been reading a book called Failing Forward by John Maxwell, my mentor. And he goes on and he talks about in this particular chapter inside his book, finding the exit off of the failure freeway. You know, many of us are on the freeway of life. That's where we are, right? We're headed towards a destination, as I've always said, from earth to heaven. But along that journey, there are going to be some potholes along the way. There's going to be perhaps some detours, breakdowns on the side of the road. Whatever it might be, there is an interesting journey that we all faced. And I want us all to get to our final destination and certainly leave a legacy behind for others that we may not live in vain. And so in this particular reading, I found some notes there that I want to share with you because it's blessed me and I think it'll bless you today on this call. And so I want to start off with a quote. Ken Hubbard, he once said this. He said that there is no failure except no longer trying. There is no failure except no longer trying. And that's really what I've been about on many of the podcast messages, is really challenging you and challenging myself, that is, to continue to grow on, move on, and if it's going to be any failing, let's fail forward and get ourselves back up and moving in the right direction where we can make a positive impact on this world and society and place where we live. And so when you think about this subject that I want to talk about, exiting the freeway of failure, if you're on that freeway of failure, I want you to switch and get over on another interstate. You know, driving along the highway, there's opportunities along the way to stay on the interstate, but to switch to another interstate. It'll get you where you're going. You know, 90% of all of those who fail, according to statistics, are not actually defeated, but they just simply quit. They just simply given up, simply just stopped living for a reason and just really became immobile, set aside on the side of the road, so to speak, or just plain on giving up. And so I'm here because I'm one to motivate you and to inspire you and to get you moving again and moving in that way that you know that you can do it. You can do it because you've got people that have done it. You've got others that are encouraging you, and I'm here as one to encourage you as well. The saying goes, if you always do what you've always done, then you will always get what you've always gotten. And so that's what I'm talking about, is getting out of that rut, getting out of that same rut that is taking you nowhere. And you just seem to get frustrated. I know I've been on that particular highway and fallen into a rut where it just seemed like I'm moving, but not moving anywhere anytime soon. And so I want you to leave the failure freeway. I want you to do that, but you must wake up. And you must find the quickest exit, because one thing for sure, If you're not getting anywhere, then there needs to be some change. Now, I get it. Sometimes in traffic, you're just stuck because of the traffic. But there's also times when you are it's suggested by your GPS to get off the exit on the next exit and let's do a detour to get to where you're going. You'll get there faster versus waiting in traffic. And so we want to leave the road. We want to lead the road of continuous failure. But in order to do that, here's what you've got to do, my friends. If you want to get off of the road of failure, you must first utter these 3 words. Number 1, I was wrong to get on the freeway in the first place. And when you realize that, you must understand that you're taking away all of the excuses perhaps you made, that why you're not where you need to be or could be. You are removing yourself from a situation where perhaps you've tried and you've tried and you've tried again and you just can't seem to get to where you want to go. And so I'm encouraging today is to get off of that particular freeway because there is a road for you. There's a road for me. And we all must open our eyes and admit our mistakes. We've all made them. Nobody's exempt. And we must accept complete responsibility for our own and wrong actions and attitudes and stop blaming people and situations, but looking in the mirror and looking within ourselves and determining that, hey, I was wrong and now I'm going to do something about it. That's what I'm encouraging you to do, and I'm challenging you to do that because when you get to the point where it just nothing is working, and you just continue to work at it, guess what? Nothing is going to change. And so we have an opportunity to change some things today. Every failure that you and I have faced, every failure that we have experienced, it really is a fork in the road, so to speak. There's a determination of what we're going to do. Are we going to turn back? We're going to give up? We're going to move forward? We're going to go left? We're going to go right? But there's a fork in the road, and it is an opportunity at that particular time to learn from the mistakes that we all make and begin again. And that's really what life is all about, is to begin again, start again and again, even though you may have missed the mark. You can get back on track if you just keep working at it. You know, Peter Drucker, he once said this, that the better a person is, get this, is the more mistakes they will make, for the more new things they will try. And so, you know, when you think about doing nothing and just giving up, nothing's going to happen. But when you think about it, we'll all make mistakes. But then when you learn from them, then you also have the opportunity to learn more new things and try them out. And you know you'll keep trying and you'll keep being successful at some point. I know you will. There was a guy named William Singleton. He said this. He said, too many people, when they make mistakes in life, they just sometimes stubbornly plow ahead and end up repeating the same mistakes. He goes on and says, I believe in the motto, try, try, try again, but that way it reads, try, here's what's the point, try, then stop and think, then try again. And that's the point we want to make here, is that we can be stubborn and just keep on going at it and says a breakthrough is going to take place in a moment and you're just repeating the same old mistake and not getting anywhere. But when we stop and then we think and then we try again, it makes all of the difference because we will have had time to reflect and to think about our actions and to think about what we have tried and where we have failed and how we can do better. Now, the reality of it is, my friends, is that it's okay to fail. Well, some people don't like to fail. I don't like to fail, but it is okay. Why are you saying that, Dr. Charles? If you're not failing, you're not growing. That's the point. If you're not failing, you're not growing. Because anyone who wants to get off this failure freeway needs to really just fess up and rather than cover up and just admit the mistakes that we made. Because here's the thing, what happens. Mistakes, they pave the road to achievement. That's what they do. And so after trying again and thinking about why and how we can do things better, you come to realize that, okay, I failed. I fess up to it. And now I'm going to continue to grow on. And that is so important when we think about it. When I think of this word mistake, because they're common And you just keep living. If you haven't made any mistakes, keep living. You will make mistakes. But there's an interesting twist in reading this particular book, Failing Forward by John Maxwell. He points out in the particular chapter, he gives the acronym for mistakes. We're just looking at it from another perspective. And M, when you think about that, messages that give us feedback about life. That's what mistakes can do. They can give us a message and give us a feedback about life. I, interruptions. Mistakes cause interruptions that could cause us to really reflect and to think. And that is so important. When you think about mistakes, the S can serve as a signpost. What do you mean, signpost? A signpost is one that directs us to the right path. And that is so important. The T in mistakes, test. We all face tests, but here's what tests do. What they do is they push us towards greater maturity, and that is so true. The A in mistakes, awakenings. What do mistakes do? They awaken us, and they keep us in the game mentally. They keep us focused as we learn from those mistakes that we make. And then the K in mistake, keys. We got to have keys. There are keys that we can use to do what? To unlock the next door of opportunity. If you don't try, you won't be able to succeed. But if you continue to try to turn the lock, so to speak, it will unlock the door as you go down the road. The E, explorations that let us on the journey where we've never been before. It takes us to that place where we thought perhaps wasn't even possible, but we're able to get there. And then the S on mistakes, statements. Statements about our development. That's what they do, and our progress as we go forward in life. So what have we been talking about here? We've been talking about this freeway of life, and that if we find ourselves not going anywhere in the traffic of the freeway of life and feel that it was helpless and feel that we failed along the journey, then we have an opportunity to move on. Because as I've said earlier, I've said if you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always gotten. And I'm just encouraging you today to leave the road of continuous failure. Leave that road and utter the word, I own this. I made the mistake, but I'm turning it around from a negative into a positive. Because when it's all said and done, it's not the mistakes that we make that people will judge us by, but it is how we, you and me, how we overcome the mistakes where we'll be judged by. I like to close with a quote by Michael Korda. He says this, success on any major scale, it requires that you accept responsibility. And in the final analysis, when it's all said and done, he goes on and says the one quality that all successful people have is the ability to take on responsibility. So today, my friends, let's change our response to failure by accepting our own responsibility and taking a hard look at a very recent failure that perhaps that we've had, and let us consider not to be just our fault, but to learn from it and to grow from it. Let's look for anything negative in the failure that we've done and claim the responsibility, then own it and make the change. Because once you begin thinking in terms of what is your responsibility, you will be able to change, and changing your mind the way you think about failure. So, my friends, today, let's make a change. If you find your way on that freeway of failure, of not moving anywhere, find the closest exit and move on to another highway. If you've already moved and you're already on the highway that is designated for you to get to your destination, then that's good, and that you continue along the way, never, never, ever giving up. I want to thank you, my friends, for joining me on today. We've been talking about failure, but we've turned it around and made it a positive, and we found an escape route to get where we need to go without being stuck. God bless you today. You've been listening to The Red Line. This is Dr. Charles. Let's get back to work today, and let's make it a great week.
Thank you for listening to Dr. Charles Speaks. Visit drcharlesred.com for booking info for your ministry, business, or leadership team. Get info about The Red Line, a 15-minute corporate success call each Monday morning with Dr. Charles. Follow Dr. Charles on all social media at Dr. Charles Red. Subscribe to the podcast here for every episode of Dr. Charles Speaks. Thanks for joining us. Like Dr. Charles always says, no matter what, never, never, never give up. Until next time.